Okay. Good evening. I'm Jan Cow, President of the Board of Education, and I'd like to welcome you to our regular board meeting of September 22nd. To allow accessibility to the public, this meeting will be live streamed and it will be available on the district's YouTube channel. We will have several members here tonight of the public if they are here, but there is an access room in which that they can observe the meeting. And at this point, I would like to call the meeting officially to order, and we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, if you'd stand. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The board met in a previous executive session in which roll call was done, and so we will expend with that. At this point, we would like to begin with our extraordinary educational experiences, and because we have not had so many opportunities and we have so many extraordinary experiences, we have a number of guests with us tonight.
All right, let's begin with a new mural in North Kansas City that features a design by North Kansas City High School senior Abby Parks. Her original artwork was selected from over 50 entries to be brought to life as a full-size public art piece this summer. Abby's work highlights the community's incredible diversity, celebrating the many countries represented and languages spoken by Northtown students and residents. Congratulations, Abby.
Abby, can you tell us a little bit about your mural?
Yeah, the prompt for it. The prompt for it was diversity in North Kansas City, and I know that we have a lot of different countries and cultures represented at our school, so I tried to incorporate as much as I could. And Northtown and the community has had such an impact on me and how I've developed as a student and a person. It was just really nice to be able to give something back. Yeah.
That's awesome. And Abby absolutely was the best Mary Poppins I've ever got to see, and the first musical at our new North Kansas City Theater.
Well, I read about this in maybe the Dispatch before it even came out in the school district, and so I took an effort to drive down, and I've shared that information with so many friends. It's a beautiful, beautiful mural, and thank you so much for sharing your talent. It's a good message. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Awesome. Oh, hey, I'll have your certificate. Thank you, Abby.
Thank you.
All right, next, congratulations to Rochelle Perez. She is a student at Antioch Middle School. She was honored by local American Legion Post 626 in receiving the School Award Medal. Rochelle demonstrates strong leadership in the classroom and a commitment to volunteering in the community. Congratulations.
Fantastic. All right, Rochelle, tell us how you got this medal. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm loud.
I just like to be very active and participate in a lot of after-school activities and as many volunteer and internships as I can in the community. I like to be involved like that.
You're a perfect person for our community to keep it growing and thriving as it is. President Cow?
Thank you for coming tonight and for continuing to be involved in the community. That's what makes us a strong community. And on behalf of all of my other board members, we thank you.
All right. Let's give her a round of applause.
Congratulations to our 8 North Kansas City Schools seniors who have earned recognition as National Merit semifinalists. These 8 students are leaders in our classrooms, on our courts and athletic fields, and in our community. They will continue on in the National Merit Scholar Competition and are now eligible to earn one of many scholarships to support their post-secondary plans. From North Kansas City High School, we have Caitlin or Ruby Erickson, who couldn't be with us tonight, Riley Nash, Oliver Norris. From Oak Park High School, we have Lillian Smith. Then from Staley High School, we have Sasha Bell, Karen Evans, Haley McAtee, and then Gabriella Muna, who could not join us this evening. Congratulations.
Awesome. What an honor. One of the highest honors that you can have as a student, and I'd like to say thank you for choosing North Kansas City Schools and bringing your talents to us within the classroom. That is fantastic. We got to hear your names, But I would really love if we could pass the microphone down, and if you would just introduce yourself, and maybe if you had someone that came along with you tonight, and let us know what school you're from. We would certainly appreciate that. And again, congratulations and thanks for choosing North Kansas City Schools.
I'm Lillian. My parents are back there, my mom and dad. And I'm from Oak Park.
Hello, my name is Oliver Norris, and I came by myself, and I'm from North Kansas City High School.
I'm Sasha Bell, and I came from Staley, and I came here with my mom and dad.
I'm Karen Evans. I'm also from Staley, and I came with my mom and dad too.
I'm Riley Nash. I'm here with my mom, and I came from North Kansas City High School.
I'm Haley McAtee. I came from Staley, and I'm here with my dad.
Well, and my congratulations to you on behalf of the board. We're very, very proud of your achievements. And it will always be nice to continue to watch and see your trajectory as you continue to use what you're learning in North Kansas City schools for the things that you care most about. So thank you for coming tonight.
Moving on to schools and staff members, Matt Barrows, physical education teacher at Ravenwood, was recently announced as the District Teacher of the Year by the Missouri Society of Health and Physical Educators. Representing the Kansas City area, Matt is known throughout our district for his leadership and innovative approach to teaching PE, both in the gym and virtually. Congratulations, Matt.
Congratulations, Matt. I follow Matt on Twitter, and it's always a great follow. He does some of the most interesting things. And, you know, I started my career as an elementary PE teacher. I'm always inspired by seeing what he's able to do with our young kids in the gymnasiums. And been doing it now for a few years, right?
This is number 10.
Number 10. That's fantastic. And thanks for all that you do for our kids. It's always, and you also can get a sneak peek to the new school when Rising Hill was being built. And we also got a sneak peek into his family as they continue to grow up too. So thanks for all that you do for our kids.
My thank you, and there has never been a more important time to keep kids moving. So thank you very much for continuing to inspire. Thank you. And on behalf of my board members.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
All right. He's also married to a very important kindergarten teacher. I can see her out there waving. So thanks for coming tonight.
Station is now featuring a new piece of art thanks to one of our teachers. Elementary art teacher Holly DeStefano completed a mural on the 7th floor there at Union Station. She shares a message of acceptance and unity. Thank you, Holly.
All right, Holly, let's hear about this mural.
Well, it was kind of a spontaneous thing. I had some friends sharing some video footage that was circulating kind of viral about the new Union Station area called Graffiti Attic, and it was open to any area artists who would like to participate. So it was sort of a community service thing to get kids to come around and do graffiti art or street art in a safe place. And so I kind of was one of the first people that tagged a wall, put it that way, and the concept sort of developed it during that time. So it just turned out to be a nice place to go during COVID and put my skills to work for the community.
Well, it turned out just absolutely beautiful.
Thank you.
Have you done murals before?
For about 20 years.
Oh, so you are a very experienced muralist. Well, thank you for adding that, and the message is wonderful. We appreciate that. Thank you for coming tonight.
All right.
All right, next we have 11 schools in North Kansas City Schools that earned recognition for their implementation of school-wide positive behavior support. So we'll be doing this in waves. We're going to start with those who earned bronze. Shoto, Davidson, Fox Hill, Gateway, and Topping were honored with bronze levels of achievement for their work.
You're good, you're good.
Fox Hill,
We got Fox Hill, right? And Shoto. Well, what an honor to have all of our schools start to receive these PBIS awards. And we also know how critically important it is for students to behave at school, to do what they need to do to achieve at high levels. And we're very appreciative for our staffs that implement PBIS and continue to do wonderful things. But I'd like to pass it on because I'm sure you have some wonderful things you'd like to say about this group.
Well, first of all, we want to tell you how much we appreciate the opportunity to come and present this at the board meeting. This is amazing. North Kansas City received more recognition district-wide than any other district in the Kansas City region. So kudos to North Kansas City. That's huge. And also, Dr. Pragman wanted us to make sure and let you know that he was sad that he wasn't able to come as our director, but he had another commitment as well. But this is a bronze level. This is for Tier 1 implementation. So those really getting their feet wet, getting in there and getting it done, and really setting the foundational framework for school-wide positive behavior support. So thank you.
Congratulations.
One silver school this year, it's Maplewood. So we'll honor them with silver and then go to gold.
I heard those that were getting silver this year, we're just going to go ahead and build them a new school.
Congratulations. Thank you. Tier 2 are actually those schools that are not only implementing it to the Tier 1 level, but also at Tier 2, which is working on those more students that are at risk, at a higher at risk, and doing some of those interventions such as check in and check out. So, yes, congratulations.
Schools who earned gold, and they include Clardy, Crestview, Eastgate, Northgate, and Ravenwood. Congratulations.
We have quite a host of folks coming in, so we'll try to make some more room here and scoot over the camera there, Coach. DJ, would you like to come on up here and get part of the circle? And Mimi, y'all would come on, Beth? Yeah, come on up.
Actually, I'm going to let Kathy talk about Tier 3. She's got more experience with Tier 3 than I do. So, Kathy?
Well, I'd just like to congratulate all of these schools. They are implementing PBS at a very high level, which includes not only Tier 1, but Tier 2 for those at-risk students, and then very specific behavior plans, functional behavior assessments for kids who are really in need. So congratulations on your implementation.
Middle School was named as this year's Dr. Mary Richter Award recipient. This honor goes to only one school in Missouri each year that exemplifies the ideals, principles, and practices of positive behavior support. Congratulations to PJ McGinnis and his Northgate staff.
Thank you so much for this opportunity to be recognized for the Northgate staff pushing the same direction really hard intentionally in the name of doing what's best for students. So thank you very, very much. I don't think I'm going to let go of this for the next week.
You deserve it, absolutely. Congratulations.
Thank you.
We're very excited for you. Well deserved.
As a district, North Kansas City Schools was also honored as exemplary. Since the district adopted the school-wide behavior support system in 2008, North Kansas City Schools has been recognized 82 times for PBS programs. Thank you to all who serve our students. Dr. Lisa Friesen and Janelle Porter will accept on behalf of the district.
Thank you. We have just been fortunate to have the district support our work with positive behavior supports over the last 10 plus years. And the work with the RPDC has helped us to be consistent and provide lots of guidance and support along the way for us to make sure we're doing it with fidelity, that we are supporting kids the best that we can, and have been so generous and helpful in everything that they've done. So thank you to the district for allowing us to continue this work to best support our kids, and we have great teams in schools. So thank you very much.
And one more thing, this is the first time ever since this is the first time ever that a district and a school within the district received the Mary Richter Award in the same year.
Next, we'll honor our community. In March, the Capital Federal Foundation presented a $15,000 grant check to our Education Foundation to support early childhood learning initiatives. The grant paid for the printing of 5,000 softcover copies of Lots and Lots and Lots of Spots, a book about diversity that was created and illustrated by 8th grade students from Antioch. With supervision from Mark Anderson, District Art Coordinator and teacher, copies have been distributed to every kindergarten and first grade classroom in the district. In addition, the Capital Federal Grant funded 5,000 more copies of I'm Ready for Kindergarten, a book written by district staff to help preschoolers be better prepared to begin school. With remaining funds, the Education Foundation was able to purchase a dozen iPads and accessories for parents as teachers, staff. They use it when they interact with families of children ages 3 months to 5 years. We are so grateful for the partnership with our community. Thank you to Michael Dwyer and Glenn Smith for representing Capital Federal and receiving this honor. Thank you.
Well, I also have the privilege of serving on the foundation board and was at your groundbreaking opening when you opened your new facility up north here, and was very pleased with the check presentation. We are so appreciative as a district to be able to afford our children these opportunities of these fun books, and also the technology is greatly appreciated. Thank you for being a wonderful community partner with us. We totally appreciate you.
And I just wanted to add my thanks to Capital Federal for its support of the foundation, and to Michael Dwyer and Glenn Smith, who I just found out Glenn Smith is a 2008 North Conference.
All right.
So we really appreciate that. But anyway, as you know, our fall breakfast is a virtual event this year on October the 15th, and we would present this plaque to them in person. We can't do that, so I'm doing it tonight. So I'm going to hand you the mic, and we'll get in here and do a little grip and grin. Thank you so much.
Now we've honored an awful lot of people in our organization, but we turn our attention to the board. The Board of Education this year was presented by the Missouri School Boards Association with the Governance Award. This honor is for the board's commitment to continuous improvement through ongoing professional development, regional and statewide leadership, and active participation in legislative advocacy. Thank you to the Board of Education for your unwavering commitment and service to our students, staff, and community.
Well, if I could, I'd just like to say a couple words. You always want to promote your bosses, right? But in this case, our board is actively involved in every one of those arenas and is well deserving of that award, as they should get it every year. If I'm not on my game 100%, the board members will call me and let me know what legislation or tax incentive or different rules have changed, and I certainly appreciate that effort from our Board of Education. and making sure that we continue to do right by our kids. So one more round of applause, please.
Board President has earned distinguished and master certification. Ms. Jane Kalk, Board of Education President, has recently earned distinguished and master level certifications from MSBA. Ms. Kalk completed MSBA's master certification this spring and will receive the plaque this evening to commemorate the achievement. In addition, she completed additional steps to earn distinguished certification. This is the highest level of certification that a board member can earn through MSBA. For her hard work, she will also be recognized this evening with a certificate and then a pin from MSBA, and you'll receive another plaque still at next summer's MSBA Uniting Great Ideas Summit. Congratulations and thank you to Ms. Kalk for her leadership and service to North Kansas City Schools.
One of the nicest things about the awards and the experiences that were shared tonight was the diversity, and across the entire district with students, staff, and the variety of staff, individual buildings, collective departments, as well as community. And it takes all of us to make a strong district. So I really appreciate all of the hard work that goes into helping us do our very best job for our students. On to visitor comments. We have no one that has signed up to speak this evening, so we will move right to the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Been moved and seconded for approval of the agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The agenda is approved. Consent agenda. The highlights of the consent agenda tonight include an equity policy that we've reviewed at a couple different meetings, agreements and contracts for special ed services, and ongoing bond-related expenditures. Do I have a motion for approval of the consent agenda as presented?
Move approval of the consent agenda as presented.
Second. And it's been moved and seconded. Treasurer's report. Dr. Ward.
You have before you the treasurer's report. 2 months into the year, things are going fine. We are progressing. Receipts are expected as expected. Expenditures are as expected. And the state has not done anything untoward in the last 30 days.
Any questions? Any other items or discussion on items of the consent agenda? Hearing none, we have a motion and a second for approval of the consent agenda as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carried. The consent agenda is approved. Consent items for separate consideration. There is one amendment to the Tri-County Mental Health Services Consulting Agreement. Do I have a motion?
Motion that we approve the amendment as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. And one abstention, myself. The motion carries. Under new business, liability insurance renewal, and I believe Mr. Fritz is going to present.
Thank you, President Kalk and members of the board. I believe this thing is on. There we go. Each year we renew our property, general liabilities, workers' comp, and some other insurance policies that keep the district in good standing in case accidents and things happen. This year, we, as normal, our policy ends at September 30, and we are entering into a new policy agreement beginning October 1, provided that the contracts are approved. We work with Lockton, our broker for insurance, to market and go through the renewals each year. This year, we're at about a 15% overall increase on all of our lines of insurance, which represents close to $400,000 increase. A lot of that is due to our experience with workers' comp insurance claims. Those have been steadily coming in, and we've been working with MEM, Missouri Employers Mutual, over the last several years to try and keep those things down. However, we just had some overall experiences with those claims that have driven a higher increase than we've seen in several years past. I think everyone has had a chance to review the different lines. If we look, Corey, if you could pull up the other document within the board docs. Yeah. Oh, the other one. Yes, please. The last page of it would be great. That kind of shows our overall experience over the past year. And as you can see, the different rates and lines of coverage. Again, it's about a 15% increase. And I have Pat Myers is here with Lockton in case we have significant questions or concerns that we want to talk about. But with that, I'll turn it back to you, President Kalk, for questions.
Is there any discussion and questions on the presentation and the documents? Yes.
Just a curiosity question. You mentioned in your write-up about these that part of it is experience-based and part of it is because of the growth of the district. And is, I apologize for not asking earlier, but what is the breakdown between those two? How much is district expansion and how much is experience-based increases?
Question, Dr. Ward. In that display that's on the screen there, if we look at, there's kind of three main columns with totals at the bottom. First column is what our rates were for the prior year. The second column with the total at the bottom would be our current costs at last year's rates. So meaning that's the difference for our increased exposure in the different lines. And then the final column would show you the overall increase from the prior year. So the increase due to just increased exposure would be approximately, looks like close to 100,000 of that, with the remaining 300 plus some due to increases in the rates.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, then I would entertain a motion for approval of the liability insurance renewal package as presented.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. The insurance renewal is approved. Thank you very much, and thank you, Lockton, for your help. All right, Board Superintendent reports and discussion. Dr. Daniels is going to provide an update on our community conversations.
Our first round of community conversations, they were in response to racial injustice following the death of George Floyd. This second round of communication conversations involved even more people than what we had the first time around in terms of registering. I want to tell you a few of the differences, however, that occurred. The first round had about 200 people who physically showed up to Gateway or Eastgate. It was in a time where we hadn't yet required masks. It was optional for people to do that. And we hadn't yet decided to push back our start date or make any changes to our own schooling system. The second round of conversations on August 27th, by that point, we had pushed back our start date, required masks, and also offered a virtual solution to families who chose to do that. In that same vein, we offered that opportunity for people to participate in the community conversations. We had 249 individuals who registered. 163 of those individuals were virtual. When it came down to the evening, though, however, we saw that turnout was low for a couple of different reasons. We did have a little bit of technology difficulty in facilitating the sessions, and we now have solutions to better train our facilitators in that process. Out of that group, we had about 100 who were actually able to tune in. And then in addition, we had 45 who physically attended either Gateway or Eastgate. So much smaller groups physically than what we had had the first time around. Our purpose on August 27th was to create space for healthy dialogues around the safe return to school. We talked about how, whether that be in terms of coronavirus, racial injustice, whatever the concern was for our community, we wanted opportunities to hear from them. We started in structured conversation. So in small groups, everyone wearing masks, socially distancing, we had those structured conversations where we learned how to use affective statements to label and express feelings. Then we moved to a virtual panel where we heard from students, parents, staff members, and our community partners about what do they do when they're afraid of things, how do they work through those emotions, and what hope they have for the future. Then we went back to those classrooms again for further structured conversations. The last question that we debriefed with was a closure piece on what can North Kansas City schools do to create a greater sense of safety and community. I'll tell you, most of the physical rooms worked through some level of discussion around what types of curricular and resource changes have we made as a result of our equity work. Once we got through a lot of those questions, it fell into two main areas. The advice that was given to us from community as to how we could create a greater sense of safety and community was to create further opportunities for students to be heard. And then secondly, continue engaging the community in meaningful conversation, much like we had done in that evening. So I would say overall we learned several lessons as to how to best facilitate it. Much in the spirit of 2020, we'll continually adjust and adapt our means of doing things, but we know that it is our goal to host these types of opportunities on a quarterly basis. We want to focus on salient current topics, but we want equity to be a thread all throughout it. We see this as one component in our continual improvement as a district and something that can help inform us as we move forward in making the best decisions for those we serve. As part of this update, we discussed having an opportunity for the 3 board members who attended the evening session to draw out key takeaways if you would like to do so. I'm also available to answer any questions you may have, so I'll turn it over to Calc to facilitate that.
Okay, very good. And the 3 that attended were Carrie and Dr. Ward. And Carrie, you attended by in person or virtually?
I attended in person at Eastgate.
Have a takeaway from?
My biggest takeaway is the reinforcement that the conversation should continue. It was very much educational as a parent and as a board member and as a community member to hear people's perspectives on really a lot of different things that are going on in the community. It was surprising to me how varied our conversation was, just in terms of curriculum and diversity issues and inclusion, and then also concerns with returning to school, not returning to school. All the different perspectives were represented, and it was very educational for everybody in my group. And I'm looking forward to future conversations. I think they're very important.
Dr. Ward, you attended virtually, I believe.
I did. I attended virtually. I was one of those who was had technology challenges, and The good news is I reached out and they got it solved, but it kind of disrupted and threw me off for the whole evening. And we were a small group of only 4 of us with a facilitator, so it diminished the experience. The group was pretty complacent and compliant and didn't push many of the boundaries. It was pretty much what's going on is good and we like it. We think we ought to keep doing it. And so I was really hoping for more diversity of opinion in the discussion, and it just didn't emerge. I mean, you throw a group of random people together and you don't know what you're going to get. But all in all, I think that with the presentations that were intended to be the provocateur stimulus for it, the structure was generally good. With the technology problem solved, I think that helps. And, I think it gives us a wonderful opportunity to get input directly from the community. And I think it is valuable that we continue to make that opportunity available for our patrons who choose to engage.
We'll be sure to assign you to a less agreeable group next time.
And I had the pleasure of attending a live group at Gateway, and our group was about 18 to 20 people. It was very diverse in terms of its composition of age and race and interests in the district, community, parent, teacher, and administrators. And we did have some very strong conversation. And it was interesting to me, several members had attended the prior discussion. And so they were very comfortable with being very bold and trusting and felt safe, I think, in the setting, which I really totally appreciated. And the group was very supportive of one another and tried to go back and utilize some of the skill sets that we were learning at the very beginning. But I really feel like it's a really wonderful opportunity, to both of your points, to continue the dialogue, to learn, to listen, to invite very diverse voices to come to the table and learn through that together. As a district, we have every potential to grow through this in ways that really help our students and our community. And that was my greatest takeaway. I thank you, and everyone, all the facilitators did a wonderful job. The panel was excellent, which was representative with students, and I appreciated hearing the diverse views. So, thank you. The next item is the bond presentation, Bond 41. Here. Dr. Evans and Mr. Fritz and Mr. Vandal.
And Board of Education. Hopefully everyone is familiar with our bond updates at this point. I'd like to first start off by thanking these guys. They do an excellent job at keeping the record straight and keeping the my end of it really simple by just reviewing and making sure that we've got the numbers recorded in the system accurately. So with that, I'll go ahead and start. As you all know, we have we've been authorized by the voters of our community to issue $155 million in bonds. We've issued 95 of that so far, but we're going to show it on the overall total basis for the start and each one of these bond updates, just to give you an idea of how we progress. So as you can see, we're $10 million in, on target, not everything right now, so that's great. But I'll let Dr. Evans and Jeff tell you about the good stuff.
Thank you, Matt. As Matt talked about a little bit, we will now begin showing each project as we build on. For instance, tonight the Board of Education approved the GMPs for Oak Park and Winnetonka. So that'll be representative, just like our next board meeting, just like the Early Education Center is for this meeting. So as we do the Staley project in October, and then Davidson and Maplewood, we'll continue to see and represent the budgets very clearly for the board on these slides, each one having an individual. We worked that way with our 2016 bond. It seemed to work very well. It kept you guys up to date on where we were, expenditures, how we were doing, if there are overages, which as Matt talked about, as of right now, it's certainly early in the process, but our numbers are coming back where we feel like we are going to be able to work within the parameters that the board gave us with 155 million. And so on this first one with the Early Childhood Center, you can see we have some spending happening. We don't have a lot encumbered, but you will, as we push hard now into opening the first phase in January, you'll see those numbers reflect that. And Jeff, later on in the presentation, will show you how much progress we're making in the Early Education Center, which I drove by again today, and you can see wind. I don't want to take your thunder, so I won't, but even from the road, you can see some differences with the windows being carved out in the Hobby Lobby side. So they're moving, and it's coming along nicely. But again, we want to represent to the board, to the community, where we are numbers wise. So we'll continue to add these. The next one being October presentation, or the parking when it's all good. Update from last board meeting. President Kalk asked on some updates with our summer projects. We had quite a few summer projects, not only with 41, but finished up with 46, our 2016 issuance, as well as just our overall projects that maintenance and Mark's team was doing. So an update on all those right now. We're currently waiting for the lights. I told the board they were supposed to be in this week. They are not. They're supposed to be shipped on the 30th. Lights at North Kansas City and at Staley. If they are not shipped on the 30th, then we're going to ask for some temp lighting to be installed in both those locations because as you can see from outside, it's time. But they do say that they are being shipped the 30th. Again, if they are not, then we'll go ahead and get some temp lighting at both locations. So that's the update on that. The playgrounds, which Jeff has some great pictures of, and you probably follow Twitter, you see that those are open at both Topping and at Shoto, and will be open for business, and they are chomping at the bit. I was at Chapel Hill today. The foundation, the turf, the playground is in. They were just sewing it up and seaming it. But they said, actually, I was on a phone call with Jeff this afternoon, and they will be done tomorrow, and kids will be on it tomorrow afternoon, or not early, if not earlier. So the last thing was we're still waiting on doors. I talked to Mr. McLeese today. He said they just keep telling us they're coming. But as you can tell with some of the COVID shipments, that's just the way things are happening. And those two projects are still waiting for doors. They certainly have doors, but Meadowbrook and Shoto, I'll keep the board updated as soon as we get those projects finished. But all in all, we're very good. We're very comfortable right now with where we are with our summer projects. It was a shortened summer in some ways, especially with our Bond 41 projects. But now we are cranking up for fall projects. As you can see across the street, the secured entrance is up and going. That started Monday, along with our roofing project over there. So you'll see construction entrance. If you're going to go see one of us or Dr. Clemens, it's through the back door, unless you know the side code, which is to text Dr. Clemens, and he can let you in the side door too if you want. So other than that, I will pass it over to Jeff with some updates.
Thanks. And before I talk about some of these pictures, I have some late breaking news for you, which I think is exciting. We opened bids for the Staley Edition project this afternoon. We're still sorting through those bids. We had a lot of interest. We had over 150 bidders on that with the different trades. And right now it's looking good, looking like we're within our budget on that one as well. So good news on that. So I think these pictures are kind of exciting. the picture on the left, you can see this is the front of the Early Education Center, and this is that, and then renderings that canopy that you see going down there. So now they've started work on that canopy there on the exterior, and on the right, you can see they have gypboard up, drywall in on all areas in phase one. And it's not only in, they're taping and mudding, and so it's really starting to look really more and more complete there. I have to say, every time I go out there, this place is just crawling with workers, both men and women out there in every possible space. And so they're making a lot of progress. But I noticed as I put these slides together, there are no workers in any of these. But I assure you, they're out there working. So the slide on the left, I wanted to include this because that's one of the skylights that they're putting in that Early Education Center. That's such a big space. These skylights were important to get daylight back in those areas. And most of these they have covered with plywood right now, but I caught them as they were cutting this in, and I just wanted to show you just how much light that's going to bring into those spaces there. And then that photo on the right looks a little bit more incomplete because that's phase two. That's the one that's going to open next August. So they are just right behind where they are on phase one. So they're making really good progress on both of those phases. Okay, going on to the playgrounds. This is the topping playground. This one is done. They've been on this one, I think, since the first of school. All these new playgrounds have artificial turf there instead of the wood chips. So I think the staff is going to be excited about that, and moms that there's not going to be bringing wood chips home and tennis shoes anymore. Topping had what's called a Gaga pit. I've never played in one. I don't know how to play in one, but they sound like it'd be fun to play in. And, but we're also putting artificial turf in these Gaga pits too, because I understand that however you play in them, you get your knees kind of scraped up. So that's going on. So this is Chapel Hill. This is the one that's of the three. This was the last one to get started. This is what it looked like last Friday. Today, as Dr. Evans told you, this is all green turf in there today. They're wrapping this up tomorrow morning, and they should be able to play on this by tomorrow afternoon. They have a couple of different pieces, and this is one that's a little bit different for them too. It's kind of a cool percussion piece. So this is one where the kids aren't crawling, and they might be crawling on it, but they're not supposed to. But it gives them a little bit different option at recess to kind of work on some percussion stuff as well. Shoto, this one opened last Friday, and I'm not sure who was more excited about this opening, the kids or the principal. She was sending me pictures all day long of kids playing on the playground. And this is one that I believe she tweeted out maybe yesterday. This was sort of a fun one. These kids are all social distancing out there on the new playground, and they're pretty happy. And then this one, I thought this was cute too. This little girl going down the new slide. Seemed pretty excited about that. That's it. Unless you all have any questions on the construction.
That's great.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. You could have fooled us. It could have been elves that are doing that work at night at the Early Childhood Center, but it's sure coming along very nicely. Thank you.
Madam President?
Yes.
If I could, I'd like to thank the guys running the video cameras tonight. This is our Into Sports sponsors that are doing this for us as we're trying to transition into a new boardroom setup to better equip for YouTube and such. So just like to give these guys a round of applause for being here and taking the time. Thank you.
We appreciate it. We know it's valued by our community too to have good video. So that's very, very nice. Board liaison reports. Who would like to begin? Mr.
Okay.
Stone.
I met with the legislative committee with 2 other board members, Carrie and Judy and Tammy Henderson, and we have put together our recommendations for our emphasis on the issues for the next legislative year.
Well, I've been watching some of the YouTube of some of the videos of some of the teams that we have out there. So that's as close as we can get so far, but that has been fun. And thank you all if you all are part of making that happen for us. I really appreciate it. Thank you. Dr. Ward.
One project I've been working on for the last 20 years, the last 20 weeks, one of the two, and that is reform of economic development incentives. There is a current energy behind making some of those changes. It was fostered by a question posed by the superintendent in Kansas City to the mayor of Kansas City, asserting that perhaps the city was hurting kids with their current economic development policies and the nearly $50 million a year that they're diverting away from education toward economic development. And as a result of that, Councilwoman Robinson has initiated an ordinance to make changes. And as a result of that, a number of people are working in different clusters to try and figure out how to do that. And I've been working with the people from the educational community, with leadership coming primarily from the co-op, Dr. Southwick, and great staff support from Shannon Jacks, who is the liaison for economic development incentives with for the Kansas City, Missouri School District. So we're moving forward through it. We're working. There is active engagement of the EDC, the Greater Kansas City Chamber, developers, other taxing jurisdictions, several city council people, particularly our 2 council people from the 1st District, and the mayor. And so it's the right group, and I am hopeful that this time we'll actually produce outcomes that will improve the opportunities for our students.
Thank you. Mr. Harrell?
Yes, good evening. Again, I'm looking forward to the MSBA conference, the Missouri School Boards Association conference that's going to be held later this week. Again, it's not going to be in person, but rather it's going to be a virtual conference. So that's a first for the state of Missouri. And typically the MSBA conference is one of the largest educational conferences of the state. And we were set to host it here in Kansas City, Missouri. So there is disappointment that it's not going to be in Kansas City. But nevertheless, I'm glad that the conference is going to be able to be taking place anyways virtually. So I know that you will all join me in being a part of that conference. I'd also like to thank the staff, and as well as Dr. Clemens, and I think specifically Dr. Chad Sutton for the COVID-19 dashboard that was put up recently on the district's website. I think that there's very good and beneficial information on that dashboard. I know that it will change constantly, and that's really what we want to see improvement on that. But nevertheless, it's another form of communication. I'd really just like to take this time and just thank both our students, our staff, and parents for their patience as we have gone through the implementation of the school year at this point in time. I know it's not the desired method that we want at this point in time, but nevertheless, as our community can work together and improve our COVID rates, hopefully we can go back to normal at some point in time. But nevertheless, I know that it's in many cases, both our students and staff are working harder now than ever before. This isn't an easier method; it's a more difficult method. But nevertheless, I think I just appreciate their patience as we go through it. So with that, that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right. I echo Mr. Harrell's sentiments on the extra time and effort that it is taking all staff members to do the job that we ask them to do to provide the best possible education to students. So we do realize that it is asking a lot in this worst of times, but we do appreciate the efforts that everyone is rising to do. I attended the legislative committee that Mr. Stone mentioned, and we look forward to bringing that slate of recommendations to you in November.
Lisa Miller. Just also thank you, Paul, for bringing that up as far as just reiterating the importance of how much we appreciate all of the effort and the patience that our parents are exhibiting. Just wanted to reiterate that we're closely reading all of the emails that our parents have sent to us, are very engaged and concerned parents. Those get read, and thank you, Jan, for responding to those on behalf of the board. And also, I was excited to attend my first committee meeting, and I'm excited to be on the legislative committee with the very brilliant and plugged in Tammy Henderson. She's great, and I'm happy to be a part of that with her. Yeah, that's about it.
Additionally, I just wanted to reiterate that the Foundation's annual meeting is October 15th and encourage you all to sign on. It will be virtual this year, so you don't have to, you can come in your PJs, I guess, since it's 7 a.m. But, and then more of the meeting, that the lots and lots of spots and the kindergarten readiness books that were presented. You've heard a little bit about this evening. So we always appreciate our community partners that support the foundation, and it helps the entire district grow and continue. Been spending a little bit of time working on the workshop model so that our next meeting will be held at North Kansas City High School, as a matter of fact, because of the technology issues that we had at Staley, and so we will be up on the in the auditorium. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, on the stage, I believe. So just that will be at least for that one time for the workshop model. Okay. And I add my thanks and appreciation to parents, staff, teachers, and administrators, everyone that is working and redoubling their efforts to continue to work patiently through COVID, and we are doing a really good job, and we will continue to be transparent and available to answer your questions. So thank you very, very much, and at that point, I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you for participating, and thank you for joining us virtually. Good evening.